BYCON, the great diamond specialist you've never heard of, until today. The trained eye sees a lot of drilling solutions standing next to me, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. But BYCON does more, namely this. In short, everything with asphalt, stone, and concrete on floor, wall, and ceiling. And in addition, some less related products, but certainly no less successful. Namely, gasoline-powered post drivers and magnetic construction units, so for steel. The manufacturer is the brainchild of German engineers who took their expertise in diamond technology to China. And there they sought a specialist in the development and production of machines and accessories. They found one. That has become BYCON together. And since 2005, this group has been developing products with a strong focus on quality and innovation. 18.5. We, Europeans, always like to complain about Chinese quality. But certainly half of the people watching this video are doing so on a Chinese-produced phone, which you are inseparable from, and step into a work van full in the morning. Chinese parts to go to work with only Chinese-produced power tools. You can have anything made in China, it is simply the production house of the world. Of course, there is also a warranty on the machines. And perhaps the simplest thing, we wouldn't stick our necks out if this wasn't quality. Done. And then we can finally get back to drilling. You see two product groups in the image here. On the left in the image are the Tom Green BYCON machines and green drills. At BYCON, these are for wet drilling. They do this from 10 mm diameter to 500 mm diameter. And in virtually any length you need. That's why they mainly offer drills of 45 and 100 cm length. And of course, you also have the necessary extensions. They make handheld machines in D model and pistol grip, but also the larger drill motors that you always use on a stand. And they all do this incredibly well and discreetly, so also with tremendous advantages. And now, that could be a company in itself. So you would still compete on price and maybe the size of your range. But that is not enough for BYCON. I mentioned innovation earlier, and I didn't say that for nothing. That's why we're going to talk about the dry drilling machines they make. Here I have 4 machines from the BYCON Drybird range. That's their name for the dry program. You might have already seen this machine. I made a video about it last week. This is the DB132, one of the world's most compact and lightest box drill dry drill combinations with micro percussion. You can find everything about it in the video. Then 2 brand new, almost identical machines, namely the DB202D, with the D handle, and the DB202P, the pistol model. The machines share the same extremely powerful 2600 watt motor. And that's already a lot for a handheld model. But it is also brushless, and hardly anyone has that yet. That makes it even more efficient and reduces wear parts and heat development in the housing. To be able to drill effectively dry, you need micro percussion. You can turn it on and off by rotating this collar. And then you immediately see the 5/8 UNC connection and the 1/2 inch ABAIM internal thread for wet and dry drilling, because it is also a wet drilling machine. You connect either a dust extraction or a water supply via the GK coupling. Both are provided. Now this Drybird line has really been developed for dry conditions, drilling. So make sure that your machine is really perfectly dry. The moment you switch from wet to dry drilling, all the dry dust that enters a wet machine naturally cakes up, narrows the passage, leads to poorer suction, more heat development, bad for your drills, bad for your machine. So preferably you work exclusively dry with the Drybird, but if it needs to be wet once, that's possible. For that, both machines are equipped with a PRCD switch. In their power cable, both the D variant and this P variant are equipped with a handle that you can unlock and rotate freely. It is mounted over a 60 mm clamping neck and is equipped with an integrated level for vertical drilling. In the machine itself, there is also a level for horizontal drilling. And so you can easily keep track of whether you are drilling straight. Both machines also communicate with you during drilling. So it will indicate via the LED by my thumb if you are overloading the machine. If you do that for too long and systematically, then it's time for a service call. And that's what this LED is for. Both machines have a soft starter, so not immediately. Full power on, but gradually build up. And that's not only nice for your power source, which doesn't get a voltage spike, but also nice for you. You can feel what the machine is going to do. But what is even more important for your safety and indispensable with these types of machines is the mechanical slip clutch. Of course, we have it in both machines. If your drill gets stuck, it doesn't keep spinning, but shuts itself off as quickly as possible. This way you don't suddenly get a huge jolt and the machine doesn't keep running, and that prevents injuries but also damage when you're drilling from a drill stand. And with that, we immediately come to an interesting question. Why are there two models, and who is the pistol model for and who is the D model for? In terms of specifications, they are otherwise the same, but what immediately stands out is that the pistol model is much shorter, and thus better suited for use in tight spaces. And what you generally see is that people who do horizontal drilling prefer the pistol model. You can also apply force more easily with your shoulder if needed, and it is somewhat more maneuverable. But if you drill a lot into floors or ceilings, many people prefer those. D-grip. It simply gives you more control in the positions you need to take. But ultimately they can do exactly the same. They work with the same drills and accessories, and the choice is entirely yours. Whatever you find most comfortable. And here is the absolute star of the show when it comes to innovation. This is the BYCON DB352, a tripod-mounted drill motor equipped with micro-percussion, and effective from approximately 132 millimeters and all the way up to that 352. And believe me, there are really not many that can achieve that. The only professional maker I could find is WK with the DKS32, which goes up to 350 mm dry, but it also comes with a price tag of 1.5 times the BYCON. The BYCON DB352 has a super powerful 3500 watt motor with soft start, mechanical slip clutch, and thus 3 speeds. It has overload, overvoltage, and overheating protection, and keeps you informed throughout the entire drilling process via an extensive display on its back. It comes standard with a slip ring that makes releasing your drill easier, with a vacuum adapter and also with a Cardina connection. It is intended for dry drilling, but if you need to switch to wet drilling, that is always possible. That's why there's also a PRCD switch in the cord. Also, pay attention to this with the dry bird machine. Make sure everything is properly dry when you switch from wet to dry. A drill motor like this one is of course never used by hand and is always supported by a stand. And then we come to something really cool. You've been seeing it the whole time. This is BYCON's new stand, the DBS352. And for the smaller models, we have the 162 with clamping collar connection. You can drill at different angles with the stand by adjusting the position of the column. And it has a triple handle instead of 2, so you always have a comfortable way to apply pressure on the drilling path. All very cool, but now comes the best part. The base of both stands is standardly built as a vacuum plate. So if you have a solid flat floor on a concrete wall, you can attach your stand there with a vacuum and you don't need to drill an extra anchor hole. Of course, part of the vacuum plate can be removed, allowing you to still use an anchor rod if needed. Now briefly about the difference between wet and dry. When do you use which? This already hints at it, water is involved here. But sometimes that's not a problem at all. Think for example of modifications to existing infrastructure. Tunnels, bridges, roads, these elements are always exposed to the weather anyway. People will also be more likely to choose wet drilling when the construction is still ongoing and everything still needs to be finished. The big advantage of wet drilling is the cost. Literally, everything about it is cheaper. The machines are cheaper, the drills are cheaper, and the drills wear out less quickly. Water simply cools better than air, and heat is the biggest enemy of a diamond segment. For larger diameters, you can really only rely on wet drilling. Although you have now seen that this gap is narrowing, the disadvantages of wet drilling are that it creates a mess, making it not always usable, and that you need a water supply. With those small ones, you can get away with just pressure. But, especially when you move to larger diameters and are drilling for longer, you need quite a bit of water. And with dry drilling, actually, all those things are the opposite. Yes, it's a bit more expensive, but you can use it anywhere, particularly in existing buildings. The drill is clean, dust-free, and you only need power. And especially with the new vacuum stands that I already showed you, in most cases you don't even need to drill an extra anchor hole. Hopefully, I have been able to clarify some things for you. My colleagues and I are ready to assist you in the comments, at customer service, or in the showroom. Thank you for watching. I hope you will certainly consider this BYCON in your considerations for a new diamond system. Of course, they are not battery products, so you are not immediately tied to anything. But still, we stand behind this, and I think it will definitely pay off for you as well.